Everyday Life with Guardsmares by Bubbles. Chapter 1. Princess Celestia. Her Royal Majesty, Princess Celestia, Princess of the Sun, took a moment to consider the individuals before her. Satisfied, she gave a slight smile to them. Thank you for your update, Chancellor String and Engineer Anonymous. Bowing before her was her little pony, Purse Strings, Chancellor of Exchequer, and her rather large, not at all pony, and Royal Engineer, Anonymous, who together had just delivered their monthly report on Anonymous's effort to industrialize Equestria. Having found the report satisfactory, she gave a gentle nod in acknowledgement. If there's nothing else, I would like a moment to speak with Anon.
Nothing at this time, Your Majesty. I take my leave.
With another bow, Purse Strings nodded his head and closed his enormous ledger with a resounding thud. Then, somehow, wrangled it into the large saddlebag strapped to his back before exiting the small princess chamber, reserved for intimate meetings with Celestia's most trusted ministers and advisors. Anonymous, dressed in his black tailcoat and white shirt, with his elegant red Royal Engineer / visible, regarded the princess with a questioning look on his face, still clutching the bundle of papers with his notes on them. Anonymous, your service to Equestria have not gone unnoticed. A growing number of members of the court have come to appreciate your endeavors. As such, I have the privilege of bestowing on you one of the boons available to those who serve the crown. On Princess Celestia's cue, a guard pony in official regalia entered the room, with 3 more guard ponies matching in line abreast behind her. Following the turn of the prince's head, Anon took a step back to regard the new arrivals. Attention! The officer, clanking her hind hooves on the floor, saluted the princess and Royal Engineer, with the 3 guards behind her doing likewise. Present! Another hoof clank, and the 3 guards sat their hindquarters down and thrust their chest out. After a moment, Anon turned his head back to Celestia, a questioning look on his face. One of the privileges granted to very important ponies is a personal detachment of Equestria's finest. You may now enjoy security and dignity wherever your work may take you. Raising his eyebrows, Anon nodded his head.
Thank you very much, Your Majesty.
Sensing some surprise and reservation, Celestia leaned over a little and spoke softly. Is there something wrong?
Well, I'm honored, of course, but I didn't think there were any kind of safety problems in Canterlot serious enough to warrant bodyguards.
Celestia couldn't help but smirk. His answer was typical of the pragmatic person she knew him to be. You might be surprised, but you're right. Security is only part of the reason for being assigned guards. It is considered a mark of dignity and wealth for courtiers in Canterlot to have a retinue of bodyguards, whether needed or not. Normally, those who live outside the palace must hire their own, as well for recent arrivals who haven't yet established themselves in the city. The Royal Guard provides a VIP honor guard service. Anon nodded his head in understanding, assigned by the prince's response.
I see. In older times, we had similar customs where I'm from. Servants called them footmen, were hired almost more as display of wealth than any practical purpose.
Of course, but I trust you'll find my royal guards useful, as well as decorative. Lieutenant Violetta, would you kindly introduce us? The officer Guardsmares saluted again, giving regards to the pony at the end of the line. Specialist Spark Shower, present! A young Pegasus mare with cream-colored coat and brilliant blonde mane took a step forward and saluted the princess, before repeating the motion for Anonymous. Specialist Spark Shower, reporting for duty. Your Majesty, sir, by the honor of the Royal Guard, I pledge my life in the service of your protection. Lieutenant Violetta nodded, satisfied. Specialist Spark Shower has volunteered for a VIP duty out of the 19D Armed Scout A swifter, quicker, and more diligent scout you won't find in the entire division. Anon nodded in acknowledgement as the lieutenant moved onto the pony in the middle of the trio. Specialist Glamour Spear, present! Another young Guardsmare, this one a pink-colored unicorn with a teal and cyan mane, stepped forward and repeated the ritual, prompting Lieutenant Violetta to present the specialist resume. Specialist Glamour Spear comes to you from the 14E Air Defense Company and brings best-in-class abilities with magical shielding and telekinetic anti-air projectiles. As if to put an exclamation point on the statement, the unicorn's horn took on a teal glow and, for a brief moment, a translucent green hemisphere defense field flashed above her head. Once Anon acknowledged the flashy display and the flashy mare who performed it, it was time to present the final member of the trio, an earth pony with a brown coat and chocolate brown mane. Corporal Bound, present! The non-commissioned officer stepped forward, with an experienced soldier's steady gait and stern gaze. Corporal Brown is a veteran of the 11B Infantry, and has served all across Equestria, from Celestia Sea to the Luna Ocean. There's not a single dangerous situation she hasn't been in, and as the NCO of your detachment, will provide leadership to the other guards on duty. All 3 guards having been presented, Princess Celestia turned her attention back to Anonymous. Well, Engineer Anonymous, what do you think?
I think Your Majesty has overburdened me with her generous gifts. If a portal just hardest open up in my chambers, I feel as though I needn't so much as draw close my robes.
Before Celestia could answer, Lieutenant Violetta puffed her chest out and spoke in a proud voice. That's the idea, sir. The gathered individuals shared an expression of mirth, mutually experiencing an internal chuckle at the lieutenant's gung-ho enthusiasm. After the moment of levity, Anonymous took a moment's pause before turning to the princess, lifting an eyebrow.
A question, Your Majesty. I can't help but notice that all 3 guards I've been assigned are mares. While in court, he seemed to constantly be surrounded by guard stallions. Is there some significance to that?
As attuned as ever, it was little wonder Purse Strings spoke so highly of Anon's attention to detail. As a matter of fact, there is. As an escort of bodyguards is, as I've mentioned, as much for decoration as for security, it is the traditional custom for unattached VIPs to be escorted by guards of the opposite sex, the better to show off their worthiness. To avoid lingering on the obvious euphemism and its implication, Her Majesty continued on. Lieutenant Temper Violetta will be the officer in charge of your detachment, although she will reside in the main barracks. The members of your escort will be housed in the servants' quarter on the 2nd floor, above your chamber.
And am I to be escorted at all times?
The lieutenant piped up. VIP guard duty is performed for 16 hours a day from 0800 hours to 0000 hours, with 2 shift rotations. 3 guards are assigned so as to accommodate regular Royal Guard duties and leave. And if you have any more questions, you may direct them to the lieutenant. She will also handle any scheduling or special requests you may have. Recognizing the subtle cue that the prince's presentation was now over, Anonymous turned to her and bowed once more.
Your Majesty is overgenerous in her gifts. I shall redouble my efforts to bring scientific and industrial enlightenment to Equestria.
Princess Celestia nodded once more, signaling the group's dismissal. As Anonymous, Lieutenant Violetta and his assigned guards made their exit through the princess' chamber's doors, the princess allowed herself a slight frown. More zealous work from Anon wasn't what she had in mind with this ceremony. He was a well-adjusted, down-to-earth creature who quickly recovered from his shock at being transported to a completely foreign land and launched himself into useful work. But his frantic pace was unsustainable without strong bonds to Equestria and its people. Eventually, unless he developed some lasting roots, he would burn himself out, and that'd be a terrible waste. It was Celestia's hope then the more she could get Anonymous involved in court life, in Canterlot society, and in pony culture as a whole, the better it'd be in the long run. Even if it meant sacrificing his valuable time for frivolous pursuits. And that was the first chapter to this very, very long series that I plan on continuing. Hopefully I can stay consistent with the voices. If you noticed, I have a new microphone, so hopefully it sounds a lot better than recording on my phone. That's all for today, and I hope you have a wonderful day or night. With another bow, Purse Strings nodded his head and closed the enormous ledger with a resounding closed his enormous ledger with a resounding thud. Then somehow wrangled it into the large saddlebag strapped to his back before exiting the small princess chamber reserved for intimate meetings with Celestia's most trusted ministers and advisors. I already fucked this up. Your service to Equestria have not gone unnoticed. A growing number of the It is considered a mark of dignity and wealth for courtiers in Canterlot to have a retinue of bodyguards, whether needed or not. In the city, the Royal Guard provides a VIP honored guard service. Once Anon acknowledged the flashy display and the flashy mayor who performed it, it was time to present the final member. Of the trio. The gathered individuals shared an expression of mirth, mutually experiencing an internal chuckle at the lieutenant's gun-ho enthusiasm. Three guards are assigned so as to accommodate regular Royal Guard duties and leave. It was Celestia's hope that the more she... Fuck, I am going blind. It was Celestia's hope that the more she got...